It's week 2, live at Camp Phi Midwest. It's the Extreme Personal Finance Show. All right. Hey, everyone. So I'm back at week 2 of Camp Phi Midwest, and we're going to have a really fun show today. And the first guest that I want to talk to is someone that I talk about a lot. I talk about you.
Me?
So, you are probably you're a celebrity. You're a celebrity in the personal finance community. So anyway, we're going to talk to Diania Merriam. She's the founder of the EconoMe Conference, and someone that I've mentioned before that I think was kind of instrumental in my journey to leaving my day job. We met not only at EconoMe, but also here at Camp Phi Midwest a few years ago. And I remember I was really struggling as if I should leave work, if I shouldn't leave work, what should I do? And we had some really great conversations. And that eventually gave me the courage to take a step out on my own and take a risk. And it's probably, again, one of the best decisions I've ever made. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Diania Merriam.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome.
Yeah.
Very, very humbled to know I had such a big part in your journey.
Absolutely. So again, many of us in the personal finance community kind of know your story, but I want you to share a little bit about your background, your relationship with money. Where did that start? You started by paying off a bunch of debt, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and share that story.
I will say, like, in my 20s, I was having my 20s, okay? I was not worried about money. The only thing I really knew about money was to just make more of it. So I found myself at 28 really focused on, like, in my head, I just needed to make 6 figures before 30. But I wasn't paying attention to the expense side. Again, I was having my 20s in New York City. And so I found myself 30 grand in debt for no reason, just from living outside my means. And I knew I had credit card debt. I was like paying on credit cards, but I ran a credit report. And so I got to look at it all collectively. And that's when I realized I was 30 grand in debt. And I was like, oh, I should probably do something about this.
So what was that? Just like eating out or what?
Yeah. Oh, I was partying.
Partying?
I when I started really running the numbers, I was spending like $2,000 to $3,000 a month going out.
No way.
Yeah.
Like going out for drinks and stuff?
Yeah. Just like going out to dinner every night. Again, I was having my 20s, everyone.
I should have had you as a friend. Oh, that's wild. Well, so how did that journey? So tell me a little bit about paying off your debt. Like you discovered this. How did you kind of flick that switch and say, you know what, I'm going to get rid of this?
So I had a bit of a motivator for me. I decided that I wanted to go walk the Camino for my 30th birthday. And so coming up on 28, I am a planner. I am a bit, organized and detail oriented. And so I knew that I had thought that I would have to quit my job to do the Camino. And so I knew, I needed to get out of this debt and save some money because I didn't know what would happen. I thought I was going to go to Spain and like meet a man and travel the world. And like, it was this kind of feeling of anything can happen. And so I just needed money to be able to support this dream. And I started looking around on how to get out of debt and how to just learn about finances and how I should manage this. And I would come across kind of the Dave Ramsey stuff, kind of the, doom and gloom, and you just got to eat rice and beans and be miserable until you pay off your debt. And that, again, I was having my 20s. That did not resonate with me. I was having a lot of fun. And so for me to make this hard left, like, I needed something a little different. And I came across the Mr. Money Mustache blog.
Oh, sure.
And what I loved about that is it didn't have this doom and gloom, this is going to be hard, this is going to be miserable. It was very like, this is a huge opportunity that you're wasting. And that really changed my mind on things. And I started really using creativity and resourcefulness to make the process a lot more fun. So I would like cook every meal that I ate. And I was bringing these like gourmet lunches to work with me. And like, this was not suffering. This was not, this did not feel like deprivation. I was like eating better than I ever had before. And I actually really love cooking. Like it's something I still do to this day. I was hosting clothing exchanges in my apartment because all of my more fashionable friends would just give me their hand-me-downs. And So I was better dressed. It was more resourceful, and I wasn't, spending money. I would make my apartment more fun than a bar. So I would host these like elaborate dinner parties where I would invent all these games, and I would make the food, and everyone else would bring the booze. And I would invite all these people from my apartment building. Like it was a very like abundant feeling time. It didn't have that feeling of deprivation that I was anticipating when I had first, decided to get out of debt.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you, I guess, help us understand too how you went from that journey to creating what I feel probably one of the most successful parties about money in the country, right? So you are the founder of the EconoMe Conference. So explain a little bit about what that conference is and why you went down that path.
Yeah. So, I mentioned the Camino.
Yep.
And I did it the year I turned 30. That was in 2017. And around that same time, maybe the year before, I had gone to another event called the World Domination Summit. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this.
Sounds awesome. Wait, was Pinky in the Brain there?
Yeah, they produce it.
Gee, Ray, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
The Pinky and the Brain. Yes, Pinky and the Brain. One is a genius, the other's insane.
So Pete, Mr. Money Mustache. We need a laughing part, like laugh here. So Mr. Money Mustache had spoke at that event. That's how I learned about it. And I went for like 4 years. They had a 10-year run, so it doesn't exist anymore. But I remember the first year that I went, it was like 1,500 people, something like that. And the whole like premise of the event were these people living these unconventional lives. So they would get these speakers to talk about that. And so Pete was one of them. Fire is pretty unconventional, right? And when I would go to this event, I would leave with this just like feeling of abundance, feeling like my life was so full of possibility because the energy in the room was just really infectious. And so I took what I felt was the best aspects of that event, and I wanted to bring that feeling to the fire community. And so that's kind of where the idea of EconoMe came from. I had thought of it maybe after the first time I went to World Domination Summit, but again, I was going to go to do the Camino, and so I felt like I couldn't make any commitments. I needed to kind of have this world adventure and then kind of see where I was when I got back. And I would say the Camino really solidified it for me because the people that you meet along the Camino they have a depth to them, right? Like you meet them and then you walk with them for 8 hours and you just talk about like everything in your life. It's just a very like spiritual kind of experience.
So can you just take 30 seconds
and
talk about what that Camino trail is and what that is?
So the Camino is a 500-mile trek across northern Spain. And historically, it was a Catholic pilgrimage. So people would do this for penance, like back in medieval times. And so there's all these kind of little medieval towns that are set up along the path. And you walk anywhere from 10 to 20 miles a day. And like the whole journey, it's just a very simple way of life. Like my job every day was just to get up, get dressed, walk with everything I own on my back. And then I would get to a little town and I would find a bed to sleep in. I'd wash my clothes, I'd get something to eat, and then I'd drink some wine and like talk to the people, that I meet along the way. And in a very literal sense, we're all kind of headed towards a common goal, which is to get to Santiago. And I found while doing this that there's this easy camaraderie that builds between people that are headed towards a common goal. And I feel like that about the fire community too. And so when you get them in the same room, it just magic happens. Like we're all experiencing that this weekend. And so that really solidified my desire to build EconoMe, because I could see it working at World Domination Summit. I could see the connection, how important human connection is. And we live in this digital world. I think a lot of people, we kid ourselves thinking that we can just talk about this stuff online. But I just think nothing can replace, face-to-face communication. Is really important. And so yeah. Awesome.
And so the EconoMe Conference, when did you first start it? What year was it?
Well, I started working on it in the summer of 2018.
Okay.
But I had my first event. It was March 7th of 2020. It was, yeah. 1 week before everything shut down. Like, I
Wow.
really feel like I
Oh
dodged
my
a bullet.
gosh, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
And, this did not age well. I was telling someone at dinner that I was looking back at old emails. Year to year, it's a lot of rinse and repeat. And so I just was looking back at old emails I had sent, and that kind of like last email of everything you need to know about the weekend. COVID was at the time, it was just this, like, barely anyone was talking about it. I think I had heard about it maybe the week before. And there was this like infectious disease doctor in our community that wrote an article about why we shouldn't worry about it. And so I just threw that into the email, like, if this is on your mind, here you go. Here's some thoughts on that. And
Wow.
yeah, that did not age well. But luckily, like, no one that I know of got sick, and
Okay.
again, just very lucky.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the EconoMe Conference takes place where?
It's in Cincinnati.
And always in Cincinnati.
Yes. I know. People ask me to move it all the time. I'm sorry, no.
That's right. It's on the University of Cincinnati campus, right?
Yes.
That's pretty rad. What I love the campus. It's beautiful. What you kind of cap it on a certain, like, we want to, like, how many people typically are there?
So it sells out at 500 people.
Okay.
And it's taken us a few years to work up to that. So 2025 was the first year that it like completely sold out. 2024, we had like 2 tickets. Like, oh, we were so close. But yeah, 2025, it completely sold out. We're already sold out over 9 months in advance. We sold out for 2026. But I think there's magic in 500 people. I don't have aspirations to make it a 2,000 person event. I'm not.
That was going to be my question.
Yeah. I think that it's really magical the way that it is, and I just don't want to mess with it. I kind of want to just keep tweaking and perfecting, and creatively, I think there's more to do. But I just think we have such a good foundation that I don't really see the benefit to making it bigger. I think there's more risk than there is reward there.
Sure, I like that. You've had some amazing keynote speakers. I've been there a few times. Has there been someone that, like, you really made a really big impact on your life? Like one of the talks that really moved you. Can you think of one?
So many of them. In the first year, there was a speech by Rose Lunsbury called "The Journey to Enough" that really resonated with me. And there are a few speeches that I send to prospective speakers as like, this is how it's done, and she's just like a skilled orator to begin with. She's running for office right now. She's just incredible. And she was a school teacher, and she just had this beautiful story about how, like, enough is a state of mind. Just like success is a state of mind, and we don't actually get there from like reaching our fine number.
I love that.
It's much more about changing your mindset, and just the way she delivered that was really, really powerful. But man, there's so many. Like, I would say Jeremy Schneider has had a really big impact on me. He did a speech about entrepreneurship and giving, and like through being generous, he reached FI. And I look at him and I'm like, man, if all capitalists were like Jerry Schneider, like the world would be a very different place. And just like the way the relationships that I get to have with the speakers there are speakers that treat me like I did them a huge favor by like letting them speak, when I feel like they're doing me a huge favor because they're putting all this work into, so there's a very like symbiotic relationship there that's very fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
What, you mentioned, 500 people attend EconoMe. Who do you think EconoMe is for? Like, I talk about it in my blog posts. I talk about it on podcasts. I mention usually at Camp FI, have you been to EconoMe? And it was interesting too. I talked to a lot of campers on week 1 of Midwest, and they found out about Camp FI from going to EconoMe.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the question I have for you is, who do you think EconoMe is for?
Yeah. I think there's a couple of ways that you can look at it. Like, if you just look at data, about 30% of the audience is already FI and retired. So I think that segment of the audience really comes for the community, and they're a really good example of like why I say this community is so generous. Like, they are truly there to help other people on this journey. So there's that segment. About 60% of the audience is like in that boring middle. They're in the accumulation phase. They're just quietly kind of on the plan. They're not at the beginning where it's all exciting when you're like making all of the changes. They're kind of in that boring middle. And so they're there for inspiration and community and maybe starting to think about what's next. And then about 5% of the audience are in the beginning. I think that really overlaps with like the 20% of the audience that's over 50. Because I think when you get a late start, like you're really gung-ho about like getting going.
Hey, man, you got catch-up contributions. You can
Yeah, exactly. But I really don't market to people at the beginning of their journey. I kind of feel like there's so many free resources. If you're in debt, I would hate to see you spend $500 on a ticket to EconoMe and like the cost of the hotel and all of that. Like, I just think there's so much that you can do before you invest in something like this. But from a different standpoint, it's weird to say this, but I kind of think like the customer is as much the customer as they are the product for the people who come. So like, I want you to come because you really want to engage in the community. If you just care about the speakers, like I'm going to give you videos of that for free. Like stay home, right? Because I think what makes it so magical is the open-heartedness of the people there and how willing they are to engage with each other. Like that's what creates the magic. So I really try to focus on like, what is the vibe to attract that open-hearted person who is going to get in the room and engage? And you feel it, like you feel the excitement in the room is palpable.
That's awesome. That's super cool. So let's go ahead and kind of wrap up. EconoMe 2026 happens when?
March 20th through 22nd.
And it's sold out.
It is sold out, but there's a wait list. And
Okay.
So get on the wait list. And, it's a lot of people are on the wait list and then they don't buy when their turn is up. So I'd say you have a good chance. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Thanks for sharing your story and EconoMe. I think it's really important. Like I said, I think it's a great community event. I love going. It's kind of like a reunion. Every time I go, you meet
It's
all
a
these
reunion of Camp 5 people.
Yeah, all these
Yeah.
friends, all these friends that I met over the years. So thanks again, Diana.
Thank you.